I'm going to call this October 8th, 2025 Giles County School Board Work Session to order. Since we are having voting, I'm going to get a motion to approve the agenda.
I make that motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you, sir. You've asked Mr. Ross to come in this morning and provide the board with a general update on the construction progress across the county. I'll just say quickly, Mr. Ross, I'm thankful for the work that you and your crew have done so far this year. It's been a Herculean effort that you all have put forth, so appreciate that. I know teachers are working through some challenges and issues here and there, but it's certainly nothing that we're not working hard to rectify on a day-to-day basis. But if you would, Mr. Ross, just give us an update on where we stand across the county and where you project things moving forward over the next few weeks.
Sure. So start by saying appreciate your praise there. That's way more my guys than me. I need to make phone calls and they get it done. So it's amazing what they've accomplished and continue to accomplish. And appreciate everyone's continued patience. It's I've tried to stress since May when I stepped into this role that nothing about this year is going to be business as usual. Unfortunately, I mean the end result is going to be great. It's going to be way more comfortable for everyone, but there's going to be a little discomfort along the way. Everyone has been great as far as understanding that. Generally, I should say. Kind of started at Nares Elementary and work east. I guess it's kind of how my brain when I make notes. But so Nares Elementary work has continued on the front entrance. I think they've got most of the steel set. The roof decking's on. They're working towards putting the roof on that entrance. And the additional storage area and the common room, they're getting those buttoned up. Things seem to be progressing pretty well there. It's not a breakneck pace like we've had some other places, but frankly, I'd rather have a little more measured approach and make sure we're doing things correctly, and I think they are. Work continues on the windows replacements. Those are going along nicely. The windows upstairs that were blocked by the roof when they changed from the flat roof to the sloped roof, so you still have windows in place in there. They have taken those windows out. Those were not replaced, obviously, with the window replacement, and those have been blocked up. We've got some block that's going to be painted so that it won't look like a window that goes out to a void that big metal there. So those move along nicely. No substantial financial changes since we last discussed. We've got roughly $187,000 of our $200,000 of contingency money left there. So I would say the project's going well. Not a breakneck pace. I think we'll be on schedule, but nothing super early. So haven't heard a tremendous amount of complaints. We did have a couple weeks ago, we did have a leak that water ran through got into the front lobby, and I think that's just a function of gutters are not permanent now, so the contractors addressed that and final product. I don't foresee an issue there. If there is, we'll fix it, obviously. So, Nares High School, the front entrance is not 100% complete, but it's certainly a long ways towards that goal. I think let's start to get a picture of what that's going to look like when it's finished. New doors are up, new locks are in, those kind of things. We're still trying to get the electronic access controls installed where we can have control like we did. Talk about temporary measures once we get to that place before we get the full final put in. But for now, Mr. Bowles has moved one of his staff members to the lobby, and they're acting basically as the door person, and that seems to be working well. I haven't heard any complaints. I'm sure it's not the most convenient, but again, in the face of adversity, our team has really stepped up. So seems to be working okay. Electrical work's continuing, window installs continuing. No substantial financial changes here. We've still, and even though it's your ballpark, we've got approximately $200,000 of $300,000 contingency remaining there, with an outstanding roof credit of somewhere in the neighborhood of $200,000. So long story short, we should be in good financial shape. Things are going to come up there, no question. So I'm glad we've got that as opposed to having to come back to you for change orders, which may happen, but let's hope that's not for a while. Work has slowed some there because of getting materials, specifically with HVAC install. That's why they haven't started with the individual rooms there, is that they're waiting on hose kits and those kind of things that have shipped incorrectly. They've been sending them back, and now they're waiting on those. So once those come in, they'll be in kind of the same cycle we've been dealing with the Giles, where they'll have 5 units down for a week. Hopefully those will be back up, and then move on to the next file. It's kind of a plan right now. Weather permitting, and you know, we've had to had some issues. Giles will get into that, but you know, we're having to make some adjustments and do some different things there to try to keep folks comfortable. But, things are going well in Harris High School. I think the tech center roof, that's got kind of a late start. Long story short, the decking that was in the bid documents, they listed the decking as metal decking. It's actually tectum throughout the building, so that facilitated a change in installation method. What they propose to do now, as opposed to doing a complete tear off, is just they call it defeating. Basically, go in and cut the existing rubber membrane in 10 by 10 sections, and then put a layer of 2.5 inch foam insulation over top of that piece of cover board, and then go back over with a new rubber membrane. There's a credit for that, obviously, but it still remains the same warranty we would have had with a new roof that's torn down all the way to the deck. And I really don't see the reason to do that in this case when that roof's in actually pretty good shape anyway. But, so one victory here, I'll say, for our team is, but because of the same issue with the confusion of what decking material was on Giles High School, they ordered a bunch more roof insulation than they ended up using. I'm sure everyone saw that in the high school parking lot prior to the football season. And we ended up getting the contractor at the tech center to give us a $60,000 credit for using that material that we'd already paid for and couldn't return. So Bobby and his crew moved that over to the tech center, which has been stored temporarily behind the tech center in anticipation for that roof again, and that should be this month is what they're telling me. Concerns we have with that are working on a roof with an occupied building, blue smells and those kind of things. We've had issues other places that we've had to work around, make some modifications. The tech center is a little different because of how the HVAC is done. I think we can segregate that a little more easily than we can other places. And you know, it's a different environment with you've got an auto shop and a beauty shop, those kind of things. So hopefully we can work on this roof during the school day, but the contractor's already been made aware that if that's not an option or possibility, we'll have to adjust that schedule and work weekends or do something to make that work. That could result in, you know, a different calculus weekend work, obviously. But our goal was to get that done starting this month, get it finished, and be able to work during the day as long as that's possible. Giles High School. So front entrance has they made some progress. They are supposed to be back this weekend to continue to work on the front entrance. And there's a window in the library that currently just has plastic and plywood over it that they're supposed to get that window installed this weekend, starting on Saturday. That's my big concern, Giles, is the envelope there. We don't have, you know, when cold weather comes, we're vulnerable, so something has to be done. The contractors tell me they're going to have this installed, and then so with that front vestibule, we're going to be the new exterior doors, and then you step into the vestibule and you've got a new set of vestibule doors there that are not locked, they're just pass-throughs, but they are insulated, and that would establish our envelope until we can get the entire front weather tight. So the plan is get the rest of the storefront windows in, so we can have access to lock those doors, use those as our secure door set, install the interior doors, that becomes our thermal envelope, and then we're good until next summer when we can get the final finish put on. The HVAC unit installation, I talked a little bit about that with Harris High School, but they haven't gotten started yet. Giles has, so they're working on the upper floor, starting in the library and working towards the east there. We had some complaints about units being down. It's been unseasonably warm for October, late September and October. You know, and on the front of that building, it faces, it'd be southeast, so you end up with a lot of solar heat gain coming through those windows during the day, and it does get warm there. So contractors have worked with us. We've had some temporary cooling set up. Is it perfect? No, but we're trying to do the best we can while still continuing with progress. So that work continues. The phasing plan there, just so everyone understands, the idea is they have no more than 5 units down and for no more than 5 days. So they come in on Monday, disconnect the electric to the old units, and then the mechanical can start taking theirs out. Get it all put back, and then the idea is the controls would come in on Friday to get the controls installed on the new units, have those up and running. And that's what makes it complicated. It's not, if you had one vendor working on it, it'd be a whole lot simpler. But in the case of changing one fan coil, you've got electrical, mechanical, plumbing, insulation, and then control. So you've got 5 different vendors that have to touch that. And, you know, they don't want to do one at a time, so we're doing 5. And hopefully, with temporary cooling and those kind of measures, I think we can make it through that. So that's, if there's complaints, that's where it would be though. The windows are installed. Obviously, the majority of them, the shops are where we still have windows to put in. That will be the next summer project. As far as contingency money goes, we've spent more at Giles than anywhere else of our contingency. We have approximately $50,000 or $400,000 contingency left. And I would be shocked if we don't have some change orders on this project. I think we're going to run a contingency and be there. The front entrance was the big hit here, and just the soil just kept getting worse. What we had to go through to get that front entrance out of the ground was very expensive. But we're still in a good financial position. We're came in under budget, so we've got some rooms. I understand on little loan we can reimburse ourselves with 4 change orders. So I think we're in a pretty good position. Eastern Elementary roofing is continuing over there. That roof, we did get a credit of $130,000 on approximately. That could change if we get into bad insulation. I don't think they have yet, but again, it's another, instead of tearing the complete roof down to the decking, we're saving the insulation that was dry and good, coming in and putting another layer of insulation on top and then going back over with the new membrane. We get the same warranty that was spec'd, and $130,000 credit. I just don't see the need to tear down the deck and replace perfectly good insulation. So I think that's a good thing. Front entrance over there is progressing. If you haven't been over, that one's coming out really well. You've got bricks being laid on the front. They're continuing with their trade rough ends in that area. So it's starting to look like a building again, which is awesome. New office and classroom, same things. We're making progress there. We're waiting on floor tile and rough ends and low voltage rough ends to be able to turn that over to the 4th grade classroom back over. That's Mr. Mills' primary wish, and we certainly want to get that for him. But we're moving towards that. I think they're making good progress. Bus garage roof. So that one is for all intents and purposes done. We had one leak that was not actually on the roof. It was an exhaust fan that had leaked, and it's put together temporarily. So we paid them with the exception of their retainage, and once we get all that vetted by the architect and they sign off on it, we'll turn that loose and have a new good roof on the bus garage. So that's a huge victory. That was much needed. So, other stuff going on that I won't bore you with, but we stay busy and try to keep things moving. I've got 2 funds, and I think they both ring at the same time a lot. And if I had 3 years, I'd have 3 funds.
Usually when you see companies like this.
Yeah. Looking at emails on one, talking on the other. I hope that lets up sometime. But, we couldn't do it without your support and without Bobby and his crews that actually get to work on it. So that's kind of where I am with update. If you guys have questions, I'll be glad to try to answer them, or we'll talk about anything specific.
So, what y'all think you're going to Really?
It's been, considering what we've got going on, it's been a really good experience. I think if I'm still around, I hope I'm not, don't take that the wrong way, but if I'm still around, we got to renovate these buildings again, I would certainly advocate for a phased approach, but we're gonna get there. One thing I did mention, track in Ayers High School, have not seen that personally. Bob was, Coach Schrader bragged on it yesterday, said it looked really good, the paint turned out great, so they seem to be happy. Bob was going to look last night about what we need to do to finalize, get the rest of it done around, but I think that turned out well. So,
Looks good. Got a little too much red and blue on it, but other than that, it looks good.
is it red, blue on for roof?
They got it's just tracking markings. I'm just keeping a hard eye.
Well, the coach
That's
said
okay,
that.
we will hear it.
The coach said that, and I thought he was joking, so there is actually red, blue on it.
Yeah, but it is one of those. It's track. It's what you gotta do.
So that track will be able to be used for VHSL track competitions this coming season.
Yeah,
That's excellent.
ready to roll.
I didn't thank Bob Sheeler, who was working second shift now, keeps me from having to do that, so couldn't do it without him, and without him this summer, I certainly would have had my head full of water. Can't say nothing good stuff about Bob. You guys have any questions, give me a shout, let me know, otherwise, let you get back to the real business.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis.
Well, before he takes off, it's probably a good time to bring this up about the new school construction. I've had, Mike Bossy come to me about a month ago, and it's a question I wanted to know if we could, on all of our school buildings, whether we could put "In God We Trust" on the front of it. Legally, we can't.
I'm sorry, legally we can or cannot?
We can.
Okay,
If you Google it, 1956 was voted as our national motto. So the government does not clarify that as a religious thing, like the Ten Commandments. And so it was his idea, and I told him I'd bring it to the board to see while we're in this process of doing all this, it'd be easy to do. You know, to put it on our school buildings. Like I said, you can Google it and see, because I Googled it this morning to make sure, and it is legal. So that's something that I think we need to think about doing while we're already in the process. I don't mean to put it on some little corner somewhere where you gotta have a magnifying glass to see it, you know. It needs to be out where people can actually see it if we actually do it, so. Just, think about that, and I guess we can talk about it later. I guess you'll know more about what we would have to do that if we do decide to do it.
Defer to you guys on what we put on. As far as timeline, I don't think it'd be anything we need to know.
But yeah, it's, like I said, it's right here. I Googled this morning, if you want to read it on my phone there. But since it's our national motto, then they can't really say anything about it. So.
I'll add before Mr. Ross leaves, in addition to being appreciative of the work that he and his crew have done, we're also very thankful that grace and flexibility and patience that our teachers have shown. So they've gone in the building every day and kind of dealt with all this stuff that's going alongside of what they're trying to do while they instruct students, and the urgency with which they're trying to do that work. We know this hasn't made it any easier for them. So we're thankful for our teachers for stepping up to this and handling it with such grace and professionalism as well.
Absolutely. Do things like I can't remember if I shared it with the board, Dr. Campbell and I talked about it, but the first day the teachers came back, that week, I guess that was Tuesday, they came back on, and buildings were not what they look like right now, to say the least. Giles High School, there were parts they couldn't occupy. I mean, there were really some challenges that day, and it could have gone one of two ways, and it went as way better than I even envisioned it could possibly. It was amazing. Just they all pitched in and helped each other. It was across the county, so we got a lot of good folks working our buildings. Thank you, guys. If you got any questions, concerns on this, reach out. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Yep, take care. Yep, absolutely.
You catch? Oh, yeah. It's nice seeing all the progress.
I think we're ready to move on to the executive session portion of the meeting.
Okay. Can I get a motion to go into closed session to discuss, is it just personnel and legal matters?
Yes, sir.
Can you get a motion to go into closed session to discuss personnel and legal matters involving consultation with attorney?
I'll make the motion.
Motion and second, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Don't bring the drink on. Oh, you've had all that.
ask the school board to approve the personnel report as presented.
Can I get a motion to approve the personnel report as presented?
I make that motion.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Passes unanimously.
Thank you. Also like to ask the board please approve the field trip request as presented.
Got a motion to approve the field trip request as presented.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Thank you. I'll take this opportunity as well just to share and discuss a few additional updates on situations and some of the good stuff that we have going on across Giles County Public Schools as well. I'll mention that I have enjoyed very much the budget listening sessions that we're having at the different schools and different locations and different groups of people that are coming together to share with us comments and feedback and ideas that they have for us as we begin to develop a budget for the next school year. Thankful for the input they have provided. It's been very thoughtful, very passionate, and also very well received. So we're looking forward to continuing those sessions over the next day or two and continuing to receive that feedback from our employees and stakeholders across the division. As I mentioned earlier in prior meetings, we're continuing to work together as a committee, administrative teacher representative as well on our new attendance procedure that we plan to put forth. Sometime this morning, we anticipate publishing a survey that will go out to parents that will help us understand a little bit more about attendance in Giles County Public Schools and what we can do better to serve families as we try to improve attendance in Giles County. So we hope that we'll have that survey published before the end of the day, and we're hopeful that just as many parent guardians across the division will take advantage of filling that out and giving us some feedback. We'll take that information that we received from the survey and we'll use it as we begin to craft a potential revision to our attendance policy and regulations. And we're very hopeful that we'll be able to have some potential revisions to present to the school board at the next October meeting as a first read, and we're very hopeful that we'll be able to have that approved at the November school board meeting as well, with anticipating putting those procedures in place for second semester. Attendance across the division in the month of September has been very strong, and we're going to do some things to celebrate that at the next school board meeting. So we're thankful for the work that our teachers and principals and other folks are putting into paying close attention to that and moving forward in a positive way. At Election Day, we're continuing to discuss and consider how we can best handle that. We feel very strongly that voting at Narrows High School probably creates a situation for us where we would not want to have in-person instruction with our students there at the campus of Narrows High School. Just a lot of potential challenges that could arise from that. So we will publish some information to our employees and families within the next 3 or 4 days that provides some direction on exactly how we're going to handle Election Day. At this point, it does look like we're going to move forward with a virtual instruction day for all students across the county on Election Day. But we do need to get some additional details together on exactly how we handle that with staffing and personnel and a few other things as well. So we would anticipate we'll have some official communication out on that sometime early next week. Also discuss with you for just a few minutes our updated accountability reports. We're continuing to receive information from the Virginia Department of Education on the accountability system as it was put in place next year. We have been told that we should have preliminary releases on those accountability reports by the end of this week, which today's Wednesday, so hope is probably fading fast if that's really going to happen, but our fingers are crossed that it is. We're trying to be real strategic about how we, number one, get that information and understand it, but then number two, share it with our stakeholders across the county. We plan to meet with our principals tomorrow morning to take a look at some raw numbers that we have as we work to try to make some predictions about what those reports are going to look like. We're committed to doing just the best we possibly can to share that information to our teachers and other folks that work here within the county before that information is released to the public. So we have been told from the Department of Education that we're going to go about a week's period of time of grace between us getting the reports and they being released to the media and other outlets. So we're going to work really hard to make sure we have a chance to communicate that with our employees before it goes to the media. So that's something right now that's weighing heavy on our minds, and we're working really hard on trying to handle that correctly. And we know as well that we're continuing to receive updated information about potentially new cut scores that could be implemented in spring of 2026. The Virginia Department of Education meets again in late October, and we're expecting a final plan from them on how that's going to look. We are anticipating significantly more rigorous cut scores in spring of 2026, but last piece of news that we heard, which is good news, they are looking at including a new column or a new category called approaching, which would be essentially a category before a pass that would suggest that a kid is on track over a number of years to achieve a proficient score. So we are trying to be optimistic about what's going to come of that, but we are committed as a group of division leaders to not overreact and certainly not get in any type of mentality where we feel like the sky is falling, because we feel like our teachers and our principals are doing and have done some really good work, certainly over the past year or so, to improve student achievement. So the message that we're sending to people is keep doing everything you can do all day, every day for every kid that you've got. And really, some of these other decisions that are made in Richmond don't have a ton of impact on that. As long as you're doing that and staying focused on that, we're going to be fine here in Giles County. So that's the message that we're trying to send and put forth on this new system that's going to come in place. But we'll be communicating more directly with principals, teachers, and then the public over the next 2 weeks on that system. And the final thing I'll share with you, which is probably the thing that I'm most excited about, is moving forward with development of a 5-year comprehensive strategic plan here in Giles County. This is going to be probably a very pretty significant undertaking. We're going to work best we possibly can to involve just as many stakeholders as we can, and we're looking forward to beginning that process into early November and December with the goal of having a really very viable, productive strategic plan in place as we start the next school year that we can use to direct our initiatives and actions moving forward. So that's the big thing I think that's on our mind as a group of division leaders here is how we best put out a process, develop this plan that involves everybody, considers their feedback and their kind of goals and desires for the division as a whole. So we're excited to get started on that, looking forward to that process, and we think we'll, in the end, 6 or 8 months from now, we're going to have a really good product for the division as a whole. Appreciate the opportunity to share those superintendent updates with you, and I'll end my report by just saying I again appreciate the support of the school board and support of the teachers and our building leaders that we've got here in the division. Thankful to be working with the people that I am, and having a great time doing this job, and looking forward to what's coming up next several months as well. But that's all that I have to share with you this morning.
Thank you, Dr. Campbell. Is anyone have anything else we need to address in the work session? Having worked through the agenda and been updated on some good things, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Adjourn.